All right, it's 9:34 on this Sunday. From famous names to the cast of Glee, it seems that just about every few weeks or so, we see another headline about bullying and harassment in the entertainment industry. So this month, a Hollywood commission led by Anita Hill released some brand new data showing a pervasive culture of toxic workplaces and also abuse.
It's so important to talk about. These issues are not limited to competitive environments, just like Hollywood. So how can you address bullying in your workplace or even know how to identify it? Joining us today is author Mattice, CEO of consulting firm Civility Partners. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We have so many things to ask you about. So we may not be friends with every coworker, but when there is friction that rises to the level of bullying, that's when it becomes a problem. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So bullying and harassment are very similar behaviors, and really the only difference is who you aim those behaviors at. And so I'm actually really glad to see all this information out there about workplace bullying now, because I think it can be ignored. We really go after this person's sexually harassing someone, and that's what's in the news. But equal opportunity harassment or workplace bullying is pervasive, and it's very damaging.
Why is it damaging?
Well, there is about 40 years of academic research on the topic from around the world, and it is very, very, very clear that people who feel bullied experience depression, anxiety, loneliness. They're going to work in a state of fear every single day. And of course, that is harmful to the organization as well. So even research shows that people can get PTSD from being bullied at work. So it's very damaging to be at the receiving end.
Catherine, sometimes it feels like it's hard to identify. You think, okay, look, that person just doesn't like me. I don't like that person, whatever, right? But there are specific behaviors that bullies use that you can really help identify it more than just being, not liking each other.
Right. So I say there's three buckets of bullying behavior. So one bucket is aggressive communication, screaming, yelling, sending emails in all caps, getting in someone's personal space. The second category is humiliation. So embarrassing people, pointing out mistakes in front of the whole, team, or sending emails and CCing, pointing out mistakes or getting after someone. And then the third bucket is manipulation. So, giving someone so much work it's impossible for them to complete it, or taking all of their key responsibilities away. So they're left kind of, wondering what's happening with my job, using performance evaluations to claim poor performance. So I'll say this, if someone's just a yeller, we don't tend to call that person a bully. So I've noticed when all three of those buckets are present, that's when we really start saying, gosh, that person's bullying others.
Well, we've seen it in the news of late. Glee star Heather Morris recently said that cast members were scared to address alleged bullying by their co-star Leah Michele. I believe she's issued an apology since that happened. But what can targets and bystanders do to resolve a situation where bullying is involved?
So the key is to step in early. So often what happens is someone's being sarcastic, or they're rolling their eyes in a meeting or what have you, and people sort of let that go because it's a little scary to step in, and also it's not illegal, and also, we're all adults. But what happens then is that person continues to get permission to act that way because nobody's speaking up. So the silence sends a very loud message. So absolutely the first key tip is to step in as early as you possibly can. It's a lot easier to solve. Secondly, if you are feeling bullied, definitely document all of the incidents so that you can then report that to HR. And then I'll just give one last tip, which is super important. It's about the way you approached the bullying. So the research is clear that people who kind of make a clear decision that, hey, I'm not going to let this person control me anymore, tend to find their way out of it and survive a little bit better versus those who kind of see it as, I'm a victim here.
Right. You have to be responsible for your own behavior, your own actions, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about the organizations that have an obligation, though, to address bullying. What can they do as an actual entity?
Sure. So often we get too caught up in the facts. So, for example, if someone files a harassment complaint or a workplace bullying complaint, the organization tends to really try to figure out the facts. Did that really happen yesterday in that meeting at 2:00 p.m.? And that's all well and good. We should do that. But the organization is forgetting that this is happening in their context. So the organization has to look at themselves to understand how did this happen. So I always say start with the survey. If you're getting complaints of bullying, there's something going on in your culture. So you need to do an employee survey to understand what's happening and how you can resolve it. So that's the key for organizations, and also holding people accountable to the right behaviors. So not letting it go when someone's being a bully, talking to people about their behavior. Hey, you have to behave in a certain way in order to work here.
All right. Thank you for all your information. We appreciate your insight. For more workplace resources, you can visit civilitypartners.com. You can also pick up Catherine's book, Stand Up, Speak Out, on Amazon.